ELAVI Truth TV here again, and today I'm going into the area of films, as you know I like to do. Today, within a few days of, well, I think it was one day within the lockdown, a new film called Lockeddown has been released. And it's a heist movie, a comedy about people who are looking for one last adventure as the dismal life that they're leading takes place around them to do with lockdown. Before I go too deep into what this is really about, let's have a look at the trailer.
We heard London's in total lockdown.
We are all locked in this psychological prison of burning aloneness.
How's Linda?
She's somewhere in the house.
Is there some type of issue?
We are fine.
Not only is everything not okay, nothing is okay.
Linda said she was planning to end our thing.
Nobody wants to live alone.
For 2 weeks, we are locked together here.
You know, you think I'm so happy and normal.
No, I'd never accuse you of being happy and normal.
Because I'm not!
On shaky ground.
I've been furloughed. Now there is literally zero purpose to my life. I'm going to get provisions.
We need milk, bread.
Wait, how many asses have you got?
Piss off. The nice people that I fired, they were fired because of me. It's not about the virus, it's about who I am and what I do for a living.
You fired them well.
Thank you.
Is that a glass of wine?
Yes, yeah, it is.
We have a situation, Paxton. All the major department stores are closing. They want everything out in the next 4 days.
We have a problem. At Harrods, we have $4 million worth of jewelry. Someone's gonna have to pack the valuables up.
I believe you are a man who can be trusted.
Yeah, I am. Yeah, I can be trusted.
It's gonna have to be someone that we trust, so that means inevitably it's gonna be me.
It's a new dawn.
What are you taking out of Harrods?
A diamond.
It's a new day.
Since lockdown, I'm looking back at myself like that was then, and this is now.
Yeah.
The bastards who told me to fire those people, they are bad. You and I are good, and good is better than bad.
You were talking about stealing a diamond. £3 million. Live wild or die, Linda.
And I'm feeling good.
Harrods is the most glamorous store in the world. I know all the security guards. I know the security systems.
I just need to get the gentleman's name.
His name? Edgar Allan Poe.
Edgar Allan Poe!
Wow.
What can go wrong?
Lockdown one last ride.
O Lord who art in heaven,
Oh my God, my God.
forgive us the sin of deception.
Aging Edgar Allan Poe. Mr. Edgar Allan Poe, please report to security.
It's a new dawn. It's a new day.
Who'd have thought a month ago we'd be doing this?
Not me.
And I'm feeling good.
So at the outset of the trailer, we hear an individual talking about the psychological prison of burning loneliness. People talking about looking at you as a normal, happy person, life being over as they know it. Basically mocking the situation that many people find themselves in. The music that's playing is I Don't Want to Be Alone, Nobody Wants to Be Alone. And at the end of the trailer we have a classic song, New Dawn, by Nina Simone. So the symbology and also the words that are being used in there are all pointing to what the real intention of this is. And it's really to normalize the psychological horror that we're in. Now, one important thing that people who don't know who Edgar Allan Poe, one important thing that they're saying here, because you could have chosen anybody's name to make this stupid joke that they're trying to do with the identity of the person, passing the name Edgar Allan Poe. What we need to know is what Edgar Allan Poe is about, and it's about horror. But I want to play this little clip just to show you a little bit more about Edgar Allan Poe.
A high forehead topped by dishevelled black hair, a sickly pallor, and a look of deep intelligence and deeper exhaustion in his dark, sunken eyes. Edgar Allan Poe's image is not just instantly recognizable, it's perfectly suited to his reputation, from the prisoner strapped under a descending pendulum blade to a raven who refuses to leave the narrator's chamber, Poe's macabre and innovative stories of Gothic horror have left a timeless mark on literature. But just what is it that makes Edgar Allan Poe one of the greatest American authors? After all, horror was a popular genre of the period with many practitioners. Yet Poe stood out thanks to his careful attention to form and style. As a literary critic, he identified two cardinal rules for the short story form. It must be short enough to read in one sitting, and every word must contribute to its purpose. By mastering these rules, Poe commands the reader's attention and rewards them with an intense and singular experience, what Poe called the unity of effect. Though often frightening, this effect goes far beyond fear. Poe's stories use violence and horror to explore the paradoxes and mysteries of love, grief, and guilt, while resisting simple interpretations or clear moral messages. And while they often hint at supernatural elements, the true darkness they explore is the human mind and its propensity for self-destruction.
So yes, his work was very macabre, very dark, but the real horror, as it states in this segment, was the horror to do with the mind, the psychology, and the mind's propensity for deceiving itself and escaping from itself in a way. We can't really escape from the situation that we're in. Not only was the work of Edgar Allan Poe dark, disturbing, and very morose, but his life was one of real tragedy as well. So let's take a look at this.
Edgar Allan Poe lived during the first half of the 19th century. Remembered for his frightening tales and haunting poetry, he has left an indelible stamp on American literature. Yet his own short life was a tragedy, doomed perhaps from the start. Poe decided to return to New York to bring Muddy Clem, his mother-in-law, back to Richmond. Despite a high fever and cautions from a doctor, he boarded a ship and traveled north.
For the next several days, we really don't know what happened to Poe at all. He turns up next in the records in Baltimore and sitting in a bar, semi-conscious, dingy clothes, a battered hat, sort of dirty, and is taken to a hospital. From accounts that are available through the attending physician, he became apparently delusional, talking to objects on the wall, lasted only a few days and then died. The cause of his death has been variously given, ranging from a severe case of alcoholism to some kind of infectious fever to brain fever, something like that. But in any case, he was dead then by the age of 40.
Thank heaven, the crisis, the danger is past, and the lingering illness is over at last, and the fever called living is conquered at last. The sickness, the nausea, the pitiless pain have ceased with the fever that maddened my brain, with the fever called living that burned in my brain.
This death was almost a suicide prepared for a long time. You will not be surprised that for such a man, life should have become hell and that he should have come to a bad end.
Was it a mistake that they chose this man, whose life was a tragic life, whose life ended in a tragic death? Because we are mourning the death of something, are we not, in the present time? Mourning the death of normality. And what's being normalized in this trailer is lockdown, living in lockdown, living in a psychological prison, a psychological hell that many are trying to escape from via suicide in some cases. It is a real mockery, this film. I think it's so insensitive, so inappropriate. I mean, I don't know. Again, I did a little video on the Songbird trailer, the predictive programming film Songbird. And I said at the time, who would want to go and see this? Well, in the same way, who would really want to go and see this film? And would people really be laughing at its attempts at dark humour. Now, one of the main and most famous works of Edgar Allan Poe was The Raven. The Raven has long been associated with death. And I just want to first, before I go a little bit deeper, is take you into this clip from the 1963 film with a character called Vincent Price.
Yes.
You didn't forget the dead man's hair.
No.
Well, that should do it then. Hand it over.
You're not going to drink it.
This is an adaptation of the poem Raven, and it is, as you can see, about a raven that enters the protagonist's life and basically sends him crazy. And it was really taken from this poem, read by another individual who's very much known for horror films and in latter times Star Wars and Lord of the Rings, Christopher Lee. So let's listen to this short excerpt from quite a long poem.
And the raven, never flitting, still is sitting on the padded bust of Pallas just above my chamber door, and his eyes have all the seeming of a demon's that is dreaming, and the lamplight o'er him streaming throws his shadow on the floor, and my soul from out that shadow that lies floating on the floor shall be lifted nevermore.
Raven, as I say, is about loss, mourning, grief, mental health. It's about all these things encompassed in this poem by Edgar Allan Poe, and the poem itself reflects the life of Edgar Allan Poe. So to find it not very subtly implanted in this comedy, this so-called comedy, is kind of salt in the wounds of what's going on. But if anybody believes that this is just kind of like some random coincidence and so forth, I want to take you back to one scene in the trailer. Let's have a look.
O Lord who art in heaven, forgive us the sin of deception.
The individual is praying and has kind of changed the Lord's Prayer, and it states, Lord who art in heaven, forgive us the sin of deception. Hollywood is about deception. These films are about deception. And we are being deceived. We are being deceived into living a life that is inhumane. We're being deceived into taking substances that are inhumane. A crime on humanity, really. If it wasn't a crime on humanity, would people be suffering at the loss of their lives, their livelihoods, their futures? And these people think it appropriate to make a film that is glorifying those losses that people are suffering as we speak. Now, as I say, I don't know who would want to see this film. And I've done this basically to alert us to the fact that the system is out of step with how people are feeling. Not many people want to be locked down, although the media tells us that we want to do this to save people's lives. Humanity doesn't want to live like this. So for this film to be wanting to be normalizing the situation is, as I say, a step too far. But it's only a step too far that for people, the ones that are willing to fight back through the strength of their spirit. Because if you don't fight back through the strength of your spirit, all is really lost. And you will become that that symbolic raven, that Edgar Allan Poe, that person that has lost all hope. We don't want to see that for anybody. ELAVI Truth TV doesn't want to see that for anybody. And that's why this video is being made. I hope really that we can gain some spirit by holding on to our humanity. We don't want a future where all the shops are closed down. We go into lockdown after lockdown, lockstep as they call it. Because it won't take long for a new type of human to emerge out of that. One that is happy to stay within their prison, bound by their psychological prison. And as the person in the trailer says, a burning aloneness. Nobody wants this. We want humanity back. And we're going to have to fight for it, people. So this is ELAVI Truth TV signing out. I will see you very soon.